It's the home finale for Miami FC, and the stakes could not be higher as we come down the stretch. USL Championship action brought to you by Wheels gives us Hartford Athletic and Miami FC. And hello everyone, with Ricky Lopez-Espin. I'm David Gascon. Thanks for joining us tonight. And Ricky, boy, Miami would love to go out on a high note. Conference standings right now, top to bottom. Miami is ever so close, but still on the outside looking in.
And we talked to Luis Neal earlier this week, and he said, look, it's a must-win because we have a very hard stretch of games on the back end to close this season out. Coming off a really important win at Birmingham, what's the reaction look like for Miami FC, but for Omid Namasi and Hartford Athletic, a chance to play spoilers. So it's going to be very interesting this first half to see who imposes their identity on the opposition here.
Yeah, these two teams got together a few weeks ago, and the one guy that stole the show was Joaquin Rivas. He was brilliant, not once, not twice, but 3 goals, recording the hat trick.
And again, he needs to be very, very good for Miami FC. You talked about scoring goals for fun against an opposition, so you know he's going to be confident. What does his relationship look like between him, Florian Velo, Christian Sordo, and how quick can he get in a rhythm? Because as we've seen, he can be a game changer for Luis Neal and Miami FC.
And you mentioned it, Miami FC closing out the season against some tough competition. Last week they had 2 matches and captured all 6 points.
And it's really interesting because we talked to Luis Neal. He said, look, against this Louisville side, we concede 3 goals at home, but we still walk away with a massive 3 points. He loved the effort. He loved the ability just to manage those certain moments that have been letting Miami FC down throughout this campaign. Set pieces were fantastic, but what was the reaction going to be like? You go to Birmingham, which is not an easy place to play, 2-0 win, 3 points, 6 points on the week, another opportunity for Miami FC around the corner.
Must-win situation for Miami FC, and can they pull it off against a team that has lost 8 in a row? Coming up on the other side, we'll get you the starting 11 and first touch. It's Hartford Athletic, Miami FC coming up next.
No one was born a hero. It's an everyday journey. There are no shortcuts, no days off, no perfect scenarios. Things won't always go the way you expect. But overcoming challenges is part of the game too. Your time is now. When passion runs through you, become your own hero.
This portion of the broadcast is presented by FPL. Learn how FPL is investing in Florida's future at FPL.com/value. Volkswagen dealers of South Florida. Check out local offers at VWFlorida.com today. And Wheels, the future of micro-mobility is here. Good evening to all of you, wherever you may be. We are live here at FIU Stadium, Hartford Athletic, Miami FC with Ricky Lopez-Espin. I'm David Gascon, the starting 11 for Miami, Ricky.
And if it's working, don't change it. It was a quote from Luis Neal. Obviously, Ryan Telfer, he drops back on that back line because Mark Segberg goes to Charleston Battery. Bullock and Yoda, Gabriel Cabral need to be very good in their relationship. Right in front of them, you might see Florian Velo play centrally. Joaquin Rivas had the fluidity to go and just get on the ball as he sees fit. But Michael Salazar, he wants him to stretch. He wants him running behind to open up gaps for that midfield 3. The other side for Hartford Athletic, you talk about the engine of this side. Yes, they haven't got the result that they would like, but the talent is never questioned. You have Danny Barrera. He's going to play underneath Sadie and Edwards. You have Kibado, Merrill, and Macangila. That relationship needs to be very good to dictate tempo and make life extremely frustrating for Miami FC because they want to play between lines. Mendes and McGlynn, how compact can they be in keeping everything in front of them?
Should be an interesting contest, one that Lewis Neal actually admitted to us earlier this week. This game scares him because of the implications, not only for his team, but just the simple fact that it's human nature to look at an opponent and say, hey, these guys have 4 wins over the course of a long season. We're going to look over them. So how important is it to jump all over Hartford here in the first 10, 15 minutes?
I think it's so important for Miami FC. If you can get that opening goal, that's going to make Hartford Athletic step off of their shell and go out and try to stretch the game. So that's when you can have the real estate to operate in. But you look at this Hartford Athletic side, obviously they've had a lot of turnover in terms of the head coach, players coming in, players going out. But I do think they're just so talented, maybe in a false position in the table. I do think that front three, Prince Sadie, Edwards, Danny Barrera, they can get going. They can play with anyone in USL Championship.
It has been a troubling time for Hartford Athletic. They had to replace Tab Ramos, who was their head coach. They have had 3 different losing streaks this year, Ricky. So it's the inability of Hartford to stop the bleeding. They've lost 3 games in a row once, 6 games in a row once, and now they're on an 8-match losing streak. It has just been pitiful for them from pillar to post.
And I do think on the road here, very difficult environment to play in with, the turf with, the humidity, 69 goals against on the season. Defense needs to become first for Omi Namazi here tonight.
Yeah, it's been challenging for them. Their goal differential, what you're looking at, has just been upended. They've conceded 69 here in 2023 and only scored 35. Prince Sadie, though, he's the one guy that he can light anybody up, and if you don't mark him, he'll beat you on a good night.
Just gives you a different look. Him and Edwards, very vertical in the way that they like to play, can beat you 1v1, can combine very good. So I do think if you're Ben Ofiemu, Paco Craig, as one steps into that midfield 3, the other one needs to provide that coverage. And that back line, big challenge for Lewis Neal defensively here tonight.
Yeah, although they lost on Wednesday night to Tampa 2-0, that match was a little bit different than what gave us the view from the box score. They scored, did Tampa, because of 2 own goals. One shot, in fact, ricocheting off of woodwork, and then it banked off of Joe Rice into the net, and a second own goal as well. So it's unfortunate, but that's one that you feel like if you're Hartford, it's been the tail of the tape for them this season. They've had opportunity after opportunity, but they're only as good as their record says they are. 4-22-4. Ben Ofiemu there. Ofiemu might get a serenading voice from the crowd here tonight. It's his birthday. We haven't spoken to you since last week, but there was one change, if you might have noticed, with the starting 11 for Miami FC. No Mark Segbers. Mark Segbers gone on, and it really shocked not only the players in the roster, Ricky, but also Lewis Neal was not too happy about it. He didn't want to go deep into it, but you could certainly sense, even with his limited words, it wasn't his call.
That's never a good thing when you have just a talented player go to a team that's at the higher ups of the Eastern Conference. It really leaves a void at that right back position. And we had the ability to talk with him. We asked him about Ryan Telfer. Obviously not his ideal position, Ryan Telfer, because he gives you so much on the attacking phase of the game. He said he did very well at Birmingham Legion, but he wanted him to push higher in the attacking final third. I do think it's going to be a big challenge for Ryan Telfer, just finding that balance as when to stay and when to go defensively.
Not to skip the league, but the lead on it, but Segbers did get transferred over to Charleston. So it's interesting. You go from the outside of a playoff spot into one amongst the top 3 is Florian Velo, stuck in a little bit of a Texas 2-step there for a moment. Lappert also on the other end of it. Kind of goes back to what you've been beating the drum about all year, Ricky, no pun intended, but the roster for Miami is good and it's talented, so it almost feels like, wait, why can't Ryan Telfer play in the right back position? Because it seems like these guys, for all intents and purposes, are pretty interchangeable. Below here. So Ofiemu, Paco Craig back along with Aiden Stanley. And Jake McGuire was really the man of the match on Sunday for Miami FC. Gets another nod in net. 3rd start in a row for him. So for McGuire, 3-5-1 this year with the goals against at 167. Save percentage at 714. Christian Sorto there. Christian with 5 goals now in the season. Rivas. Yodi here. Pretty good run from Stanley. Looking for Velo. Dorchin there at the touch. Marvin getting his second start of the year between the pipes for Hartford. The last time he did make an appearance was at the early part of this month. I say that as we're closing out September, but his last start was a loss to Tampa Bay.
You already see about 5 minutes in, Danny Barrera, he's going to pull the strings for this Hartford Athletic side. Just so comfortable on the ball. Had a great season last season in terms of his numbers, goals and assists. You have the verticality on that front line between Sadie and Edwards, so always having that balance defensively for Miami FC is going to be key to get that clean sheet, because this man, he's been active and you can tell he's feeling it tonight. Which
is so odd when you talk about what he did last year, and this year the productivity has just fallen off a cliff. He only has a goal this season and 1 assist. It's a little alarming. Sheldon on a run here, but far set official with a flag up, it looked like. Yeah, it went from bad last year to worse for Hartford, and I mean, they have some pieces, so it's not like the kitchen cupboard boards are empty, but it's unfortunate for them. But Miami's trying to feast on their misfortune. Velo, way too ambitious with that approach, and Dorchin comes out.
Yeah, it's a really good idea from Florian Velo, but that ball needs to go into Sorto because Michael Salazar pulls 2 center backs out of position. There's a big hole right in front. If you play central, you can cause an overload. Wrong decision in that final third instance from Florian Velo.
I'll get you the injury report in just a moment. Might as well do it now with that foul from Gabriel Cabral. Into the 7th minute. Oddly enough, kind of weird symmetry with Hartford. 4 wins this year, 22 losses, and 4 draws. How about this? Their home record, 2-11-2. Away record is exactly the same. Even numbers here. Rivas giving it right back to Velo. Velo looking for the cross. Dorchin did not get ambushed there.
Really good pattern of play for Miami FC. Malkin Rivas and Florian Velo very comfortable on the ball. Good interchange, good patient. You can see on the back, and then Florian Velo's asking Michael Salazar just to slash across that near post, because if he does, it's 1-0 Miami FC. Such a difficult ask just to have that nice little delicate touch over that back line to that far post. You always want to slash across near the face of goal if you're Michael Salazar as a number 9.
Now we'll take a look at the injury report in the 8th minute, brought to you by your Volkswagen dealers of South Florida. Check out local offers at vwflorida.com today. Thorne, Ben Mines are out. Curtis done for the season. Regardless if the club makes the postseason or not, Curtis had surgery a couple weeks ago, so he will no longer be active at all. Unfortunate for him. Ben Mines sustained an injury a couple weeks ago during training, so he's a bit nicked up.
We talked about also Hartford having pieces. Their injury list. We're going to Rito, Openo, Logue, excuse me. Players that will be in the starting 11 any other day for Amid Namasi, because players that are very talented.
Akinyoti goes down.
An awkward coming together between Bolak and Yodi and McGlynn.
Sorno, sweet touch. Right back to him. Christian looking for a little bit of space. Akinyoti. 9th minute here. Miami FC this season 5-6-5 at FIU Stadium. On the road 4-8-3. Oddly enough, that is where they close out the season. At Charleston and at Sacramento. We'll be scoreboard watching tonight. We'll take a peek around the USL Championship scoreboard. Have our eyes set on FC Tulsa playing tonight. Detroit also playing tonight. Christian with a little touch foul.
Nice little pocket of space picked up by Sorto, but that first touch just lets him down. But those are the areas that you want the players underneath Michael Salazar to occupy, because then it unbalances Hartford Athletic. One of the two center mids needs to drop off. One of the center backs needs to step higher.
Indy 11 plays Detroit tonight, so the best thing that you want in this situation for Miami is an Indy 11 win. If Indy 11 does win tonight, they'll clinch a playoff spot regardless of what Miami FC does. If Miami FC runs the table, they get 9 more points. The best they can finish at is with 45. But we'll keep an eye on Tulsa, Detroit, and Birmingham. Akinyote, it looked like he completely possessed, but now called for the foul. Didn't give much of an argument on it, even though Rivas is. Go back and Barrera on his wallet. Louis Neal admitted to us a few days ago he was not pleased with the start against Lou City midweek last week. He's hoping his team can jump on the visitors here today quickly. We'll find out soon enough. Dorchin here. Makangila. Could be a turnover, and it is. Rivas has some space. That one off the crossbar. Unsuspecting was Dorchin, and Rivas almost caught him off guard completely. First break, Sorto with the strike. That one goes out the crossbar too. Oh, the iron unkind early for Miami FC. It stays scoreless.
Really sloppy in the back here from Hartford Athletic. Makangila, a big no-no, playing a square ball across your own 18-yard box, but you give the time and space for Joaquin Rivas. Hat-trick last time at Hartford Athletic, trying to get the opening goal here tonight. You get a second bite at the apple with Christian Sorto, and once again, same result. They hit it so pure, so clean, do everything right, just denied by Dorchin's best friend, the crossbar.
Ever so close.
Once again, David, you just see this pocket to space right in front of the two center backs at Hartford Athletic. If you can occupy, whether it is Lauren Velo, Joaquin Rivas, Christian Sorto, you're going to have a lot of success because that back line, they're not stepping up.
Yeah.
And there's between 10 yards between lines. With the talent that Miami FC has on that front line, they can do a lot of damage in those instances.
I can't remember the last time I've seen 2 shots from Miami FC that far out in proximity that were that dangerous. Like you said, they hit those things flush.
I don't think it's a coincidence as well that they don't need a second invitation, because 2 wins on the bounce, you can just see what the confidence does for sides, because so many times when Miami FC was dipping just a tiny bit, they try to do that extra pass. They try to do a bit too much. The old quote that goes, simplicity is genius. You give an opportunity, you strike, you don't think much about it, and good things will happen.
Possible break here. Rivas sees some real estate. Joaquin cannot hold on to it. He had some space for a moment. Edwards. Matt Sheldon wanted to give it back to him.
Another thing, Omid Namazi, excuse me. The message to the boys about 14 minutes in has to be about balance, because too many times, whether that midfield line goes, that front line goes, the back line is slow to react with them. Been a bit too spread out. Not clean enough in the back as well.
Yeah, talk about Cavalier with the ball. My goodness. Ooh, friendly fire. Oh. Man, we'll take a look at it. It was 7:20 on the East Coast on a Saturday night, but that is a wake-up call for Michael Salazar.
Yeah, the whistle's gone as well. Not expecting it, turned away, back of the head. Something you don't want to see. Hopefully he's okay. Scary sight. His ball hits that extremely well.
I mean, it was a good couple seconds after the whistle. I don't know what he was trying to accomplish with that, to be frank. Omi Namazi taking over for Tab Ramos. Has his hands full. He was a pretty engaging man, though, this week, and he felt like his club is one thing they have not done is they haven't stopped working, which is always important. I mean, you've been on good teams, Ricky. You've been on some bad teams, but have you ever been on a team that has just flat out quit?
Never, right? Because I think when you talk to every single coach around USL Championship, around MLS, around any sort of professional league, the first thing they do when they bring players in is talk about their character.
Yeah.
Right? If when the adversity hits, are you going to just come into your shell, you're going to crumble up, or you're going to look at adversity in the face and say, we keep on going, right? Because a lot of these players, unfortunately, they're playing for contracts.
Yeah.
They're playing for contracts, whether it's in Hartford Athletic jersey or around USL Championship. So every time you walk across that white line, regardless of where you sit in the table, it's an opportunity to showcase yourself and play yourself into a job and job security.
Yeah, and the one dangerous element is all of these games now have eyes from up above, so the eye in the sky never lies, and you'll always get caught slacking. Whether it's game 1 or game 15 or game 24. As we get near the end of the regular season, and got to imagine there'll be some wholesale changes with Hartford. TBD with Miami FC. Callan Chapman-Page moved along. Mark Segbers moved along. Anthony Pulis, exit stage left. So it is interesting. And somehow you lose your head coach, say goodbye to a couple players, and you're still in this thing. It's kind of wild.
Just talks about the talent that Miami FC has. Nice little battle that we have on this near side. Matt Sheldon playing as a wingback sorts for Hartford Athletic. Can produce on both ends of the ball. Him and Ryan Telford, not a natural right back that we've mentioned before. So far, Ryan Telford has answered every single question asked of him.
Sort of on the approach here. Christian jamming on the brakes. Great move. We called for the foul. Good news for Miami fans. Pittsburgh 1-0 over FC Tulsa. It's early.
That's a really difficult game for Tulsa. Player Gavin playing at Bob Lilly at Highmark Stadium. How good have the Riverhounds been, not only this season, but at home as well.
Yeah.
Going to be very interesting. You look at, let's say, a 3-man race for that last playoff spot. Miami FC, Detroit, and Tulsa. Very difficult games to end out the 2023 campaign.
It's always fun talking to Bob Lilly. It even feels like his team is not the best in the USL, but it feels like they work pretty darn hard. It says a lot, even if you don't have the superior talent.
Hey, Jumbo!
19th minute if you're just joining us. Miami FC has already hit 2 crossbars. Is that an indication of how their offense will be tonight? We'll find out. Hartford has yet to have any kind of threatening attempt on Jake McGuire.
Just see the space between lines at the moment. Joaquin Rivas comes to mind, pocket right in front of that back line. And it's interesting because we talked to Luis Neal and I asked him what are some keys to be successful in this match, and he said, look, quickly, create overloads in wide areas. Try to draw their center backs out of positions where they don't want to go. Try to outplay their wing backs. But I'll tell you what, we've seen about 20 minutes in, just a pocket centrally in front of their back 3. If you can find Joaquin Rivas, if you can find Christian Sordo, Florian Velo in those pockets space, get them on the half turn facing forward, they can cause a lot of damage, as we've seen already with 2 crossbars.
We'll see how this first half unfolds, but more to your point too, Ricky, Miami FC has been on the ball a whole heck of a lot.
I mean, look at your screen right now. Look at Christian Sordo, not a player about 10 yards in his radius. So how do you unbalance the opposition to find those gaps, to open up and create overloads? I do think in this first half, it's going to be really important for Miami FC. Just maybe draw them centrally, and then you can go wide, or vice versa.
You almost get the feel, if you didn't have the graphic up in the top left, the way that this first half has looked, it almost gives you a feel that Hartford's up a goal.
Yep.
It's the closing stages of a match. I don't think they're slow playing this by any stretch of the imagination, but completely different approach than I think we'd expect. Only a couple games left in the regular season. Salazar went down, and Michael looking for a call, not going to get it. Joe Sergen, the head official tonight in the middle of the park. Cabral. Salazar over to Christian Sordo. Stanley. This is going to result in a corner kick, the first one here for Miami FC in that opposite end. They've looked pretty comfortable so far. That's the one thing that I think at least jumps out. Hartford not putting any kind of pressure on them. Cabral scoring last week against Lou City. Got a couple goals now in the year. Here he is on service. Ooh, line drive! That one hits the iron unkind again. 3 crossbars in this first half. What gives, Ricky?
Very similar how Miami FC concedes against Lou City at home. Great ball centrally to that near post from Gabriel Cabral, to be expected. And it's Michael Salazar who just pops off his individual marker. Fantastic header, glaring across his right shoulder. And once again, just so unlucky, denied by the crossbar as it comes back. Just too quick for Bolak and Yodi to make any sort of reaction. I don't think I've ever seen that 24 minutes in. 3 crossbars for the home side.
Played through again. Velo just couldn't keep it. Sordo tried racing for it, could not. Edwards pushing this thing forward. Hartford looking for any kind of response. Sheldon back over to Edwards. Changing places for a moment. Telfer trying to stay with him, at least he does. Danny Barrera. portion of the broadcast sponsored by your Volkswagen dealers of South Florida. Check out local offers at vwflorida.com today. 3 crossbars in this first half. Good veteran move by Telfer there. Ricky, these things that happen over the course of a long season. Lewis Neal admitted to us that match on Sunday they won against Birmingham 2-0. He felt like it evened out with the pressure that Birmingham had put on Miami. Jake McGuire really bailed them out. And he feels like there's been instances over the course of this season where they've been stymied by the opposition's keeper. You know, it was fit for fair play to return it in kind to Birmingham, and they got it done.
I think those are the types of games that if you're hoping to get into playoffs, you have to have the ability just to pull out. Maybe you're not playing your best football, but you have the ability just to grind that result and be efficient in both boxes. And yes, when we talk about playoffs, it's do or die, so you need game changers, not only in attacking phase, but also you need your goalkeeper to stand on its head 1 or 2 times throughout. Imagine Jake McGuire did that no bigger time on the road at Birmingham Legion, which is not an easy place to play with the talented roster that they have. Before the Lou City game, we talked with him. We talked with Lewis Neal, and he said, look, I want 6 points out of this weekend. It's a hard ask because we have a very talented schedule ahead of us. Do the hard part, and now at home, watch out here.
Edwards, Paco Craig is there. Good hustle by Paco. He got taken out. That should result in a booking, and we see if it does. It looks like it. Edwards here in the 26th minute. Of course, you say that, Ricky, and now we've turned the page a week, and this first 25 minutes makes you sick to your stomach with 3 crossbars, right?
And I do think this is going to be the biggest challenge for Miami FC here tonight. Yes, you're getting on the ball a lot, so you're committing a lot more numbers forward, but you know Edwards and Sadie, they don't need a second invitation to play direct, to play in beyond. This time challenge from Edwards catches Paco Craig, who's fantastic in his positioning in that moment. Now you have a striker for Hartford Athletic on a yellow card.
And we haven't even called Prince Sadie's name at all in this contest so far, outside of introducing him with the starting 11. Prince been quiet so far. 7 goals in the season, 3 helpers. See Matt Sheldon, man from Portland, Oregon. Matt making his 22nd start in 27 matches. That last shot that rang off the crossbar was eerily reminiscent of Sean Tosh's goal last week for Lou City.
Set pieces, they're going to be really important for Hartford Athletic, not creating through the run of play. So a fantastic opportunity just to ask questions of Jake McGuire, who's been widely untested 28 minutes in.
See what Danny Barrera does here. Softly played in, immediately kicked out though by Paco Craig's head. Paco alert on that back line. Physicality here, and Bolo Akinyoti looking around. Lewis Neal, colorful language I can't repeat.
At first glance, I do agree with Lewis Neal here. I don't know what Bolo Akinyoti's just called for the foul upon.
And Joe Surgan came out immediately.
The only thing I can think of is maybe the high left arm of Bolo Akinyoti that catches Hartford player. Then again, don't think there's any ill will because you're taught when you rise for a header to make yourself big, protect yourself, use your shoulders, and your arms as protection. Kelly catches. I think it's Morel there.
Looks like he's bleeding a little bit. Fortunate for him.
And as Bolo sees yellow now, it's going to be a very interesting how Lewis Neal sees out the rest of this first half, because so much of the action plays centrally through Miami FC. The transition moments for Hartford are what they're looking for. Bolo needs to be very disciplined in his decision making, what challenges he decides to go into, but also his positioning needs to be spot on.
Pittsburgh still leading FC Tulsa 1-0. Indy 11, Detroit scoreless right now in the 29th minute. Memphis and Birmingham will get underway a little bit later on. So we will keep you abreast of the situation in the Eastern Conference. Get a good look at Jake McGuire. He was one of the heroes last week. Helped capture the 6 points. And oddly enough, stopped the first PK of the season for Miami FC in that victory over Birmingham. Up until that point, Agents and Deas and Jake McGuire combined to have stopped none on 9 attempts for the opposition this year. Glenn will work short. Ofiemu. Nice play. Here's Florian below. No hesitation there from Connor McGlynn. 32nd minute. Miami FC, 4 shots so far, 3 crossbars. You heard that right. Eastern Conference standings. Miami FC on the outside looking in, trying to chase down FC Tulsa and Detroit. Both teams in front. Ooh, they play on, and now Prince Sadie blew a tire. They're going to say Ofiemu called for the foul there. Hometown faithful not really happy with the officiating of Joe Sergen just yet. Lewis Neal taking over for Anthony Pulis as the interim coach. Done a fine job of at least keeping these guys afloat. As admitted to us, he hasn't changed a whole heck of a lot, just maybe the vocal messaging as McGuire comes out and makes a great stop against Edwards. Just a little bit of hesitation from McGuire, caught in no man's land. And at least he didn't take out Edwards, because you feel in that moment could have resulted in a penalty.
I think he just misjudges the flight of the ball here, Jake McGuire. Because if you're a goalkeeper, you come off your line, you need to be extremely sure that you're going to make any sort of play on any ball. As the ball drops in, does very well, to be fair, to recover. You can see the threat for Edwards, just so vertical, so direct with his willingness to run in behind.
Cabato, the header. McGuire is there and says no. Jake getting tested here in the 34th minute. Nice engagement for him. And final game of the regular season here at FIU Stadium for Miami. On the road after this, closing out with Charleston and then at Sacramento. Cabral, Christian Sordo. Here's Ryan Telfer. Telfer, good approach. Oh, he was looking for Rivas there. Just too much juice on that feed. Louis Neal did say earlier this week, Ricky, that he felt like Telfer could have played up a little bit more, could have committed up. Have you seen anything different from what he had mentioned on Sunday to where we're at here tonight?
Obviously, he seems a bit more comfortable in the position, but I do think first time playing as a right back at Birmingham, you're going to be a bit cognitive not to go too much forward because you know you're right back, right? So defensively is your priority.
Yeah.
And I do think when you're not comfortable in that position, do the basic things extremely well, and that's when you can get confidence, you start to express yourself. So now I do think it's going to be really interesting, the remainder of this game for Ryan Telfer, because I do think he's going to have something to say with him and Florian Velo. It's a nice little relationship that they've formed already 36 minutes here on this near side.
Omi Namazi, much like Louis Neal, taking over on an interim basis.
Just no options at the moment for Hartford. You just look at the middle of the field. Everyone wants the ball to feet. Just so congested, going into traffic areas. And by result of that, sloppy turnovers, trying to force the ball to areas that they don't need to play into. Bypass that initial pressure of Miami FC, play into Prince Sadie, Kyle Edwards. It's like when Makangila, he's been really putting under a lot of fire in sticky situations as that single pivot for Omi Namazi.
Yeah, it almost feels like Hartford's playing uninspired ball tonight.
There's a lot of things in this world happening right now, and consumers like myself want some level of control.
I am a solar development project manager, and I get to be on the forefront of the best technology to produce clean energy.
We've transitioned from foreign oil to natural gas, and we're moving responsibly towards solar, battery, and green hydrogen, and this will all ultimately bring savings to the customer.
I know that FPL is looking at other ways that down the line will reduce my bill. We can be less dependent on oil, and the future is bright.
Back here at FIU Stadium in the 38th minute with Ricky Lopez-Espin. I'm David Gascon. And our entire award-winning crew. From start to finish, Ricky, we're seeing this thing out. It felt like just the other day I was seeing some Polaroids with you and Lauren Markwith being introduced to the broadcast team. Preston dressed in your Sunday finest.
There you go. Trying to emulate you, man.
Fair enough. As the elder statesman of the team. But a highly unpredictable unfolding of this season sees Miami FC teetering on the brink of playoff elimination. And of course, capturing a spot in the Eastern Conference.
It's really interesting the way that you see Hartford Athletics set up. You look at number 6, Makangila, the center midfield for Hartford Athletic. He's shadowing Michael Salazar. So that's why you see that hole in the center of the field, because he is usually that lone single pivot and likes to destroy clog passing lanes. But as he's just following Michael Salazar around, that's when you start to see that hole open up. Top of your screen right now, man-to-man. So I don't know if that's by design by Omi Namazi, but now you're going to see a lot of gaps open up for players around him. I do think if you're Louis Neal, you're telling Michael Salazar just to make runs towards the corner flag to draw him out of position, to open up real estate to operate in.
guess the one question would be like, why would a guy like Michael Salazar be shadowed? No offense to him, but he hasn't thrown up a lot of gaudy numbers this year.
And that's to come off scouting. I do think Omid Amazi probably says, look, they like to play into Michael Salazar and drop balls off the secondary runners, but if we can deny the ball centrally into him, we force Miami FC for someone else to produce. You see it come over once again.
Nice move by Salazar. Looking to Rivas out wide. Rivas with some space. Joaquin pulls the trigger, but it goes right on goal to Dorchin. Seen in weeks past, Rivas earmarking a corner. Here, not so much.
He does so well, Michael Salazar, just to turn his body and invite the pressure. And as he draws two center backs on, the real estate is a far end for Joaquin Rivas. Very difficult to get the ball out of his feet straight at Dorchin. But those are the moments. How clinical can you be to pick apart and find a corner to unlock this back line of Hartford Athletic?
Big display for Pittsburgh now. Hounds with a 2-0 advantage over FC Tulsa. Again, Miami FC doesn't have to leapfrog FC Tulsa. They have to do the same with FC Tulsa and Detroit. But they're both within striking distance. In fact, if they both lose tonight and Miami wins, they would hold down that 8th spot in the Eastern Conference. But first things first. Players talk about those things when it comes to this close to the end of the season, about playoff positioning and what it means and what you're thinking about for other clubs playing tonight?
I think it just depends on the player.
Yeah.
I was never one to watch a table and say, okay, if we win, they lose, we sit in. I'm always one that you take care of your business, you take care of the game at hand, let everything fall into place. But there definitely are players in the locker room that are pulling out the calculators and saying this is the goal differential and what else, but it just depends on the individual.
Second minute, Miami FC, 3 crossbars, and Joaquin Rivas with a pretty good shot from just inside the 18 that was stopped by Dorchin. Rivas trying to pick it off, looking for Joe Sergen.
Once again, it's a wrong decision from Makangila. Just tries to overcomplicate things, plays the ball straight into Gabriel Cabral. Just keep it simple, move the ball from left to right. And try to draw out Miami FC in that back line. Because too many times you try to overcomplicate things and do too much. It results in a turnover.
Miami failed to convert on a couple opportunities against a Hartford team that has not done a whole lot with the ball yet. Telfer pushing up, so Cabral peeled back. Cabato. Outside, here's Edwards. Edwards trying to make a move. Ofiemu stonewalls him there. Great play by Ben. Aiden Stanley, 44th minute. Curious to see how much stoppage time we have here in this first half. My guesstimate would be 3 minutes. Make sure you stay with us at the half. Ricky and I will have first half stats, highlights, news and notes around USL, and a whole lot more. Maybe some fashion tips from Ricky Lopez. That's good.
Really important set piece here for Miami FC. 45th minute, right before halftime. No need to go quick. See the frustration flowing below, slowing things down. Get your big boys higher up the field and just put in a quality service, because you had success from a corner kick not long ago. Looking at Paco Craig, you're looking at Michael Salazar, Ben Ofiemo, the intended targets here for Miami.
There's Marvin Dorchin in goal. Second start tonight of the season. Directing a little bit of traffic. Let's see who takes this. It will be Stanley bending Ofiemu. Plenty of contact and had some just near the 6 as Mendez goes down in a heap. Modesto Mendez has been around the block a little bit. 4 minutes of stoppage time has been granted. We'll see if Miami FC capitalizes on any of this. Miami 39 goals this year, 42 conceded. Hartford 35 scored, 69 conceded. Miami FC 3 crossbars here in this first half. That makes you fearful about what could happen the rest of this contest. Watch out. Miami has created some good chances and just been snake bit a little bit. Hartford played midweek. They got beat by Tampa on Wednesday. Miami's last contest was on Sunday. Last we saw, Pittsburgh leading FC Tulsa. Indy 11 just scored. We got word of that a couple moments ago. So they lead Detroit, which is huge. 1-0 there. So Miami's getting help from the guys that they need help from. Now the question is, can they help themselves? And I feel like, Ricky, if you're in this spot, a point tonight won't do you much.
Lewis Neal was quick to point out, saying, look, it is a must-win. And argue the remainder of the games are must-win as well. Very difficult, but game that you can't let complacency great ball.
Cabral here. Akinyoti. Christian Sordo. Good spacing. Christian, a chip. A little bit too tall, though. Cabral, ooh. Maybe another idea of settling it and firing, but did not. Below, sweet pass. Good pursuit, though, by Florian. Well, he's asking for a corner kick, and for some ungodly reason, it wasn't given to him. As we just mentioned, Indy with that advantage over Detroit. Rivas wanted more from that header. Sordo, who's played well, has had a couple touches. Rivas hitting the crossbar. Ofiemo just getting this thing out of harm's way. Let's see if Akinyoti gets to it. He does. Closing seconds of this first half. Statistics all lined up for Miami to have a lead. A sizable one, or even just a narrow one, but as of now, goose eggs. Coach Sergen says, fellas, that'll be that for the first 45. It's in the books here. First half of action has come to a close. And Marvin Dorchin and Hartford Athletic fortunate enough to escape being down scoreless, despite the fact that 3 shots got past him, but all 3 hit the crossbar.
I think if you're Louis Neal, the first 10 to 15 minutes, if you can get that opening goal, it's going to be really important for Miami FC. But I do think you need to get Joaquin Rivas, Florian Velo in those half pockets, and how clinical can you be? Because there's going to be opportunities, but you have to find the back of the net. On the other side for Hartford Athletic, you just want to get on the ball just a tiny bit more and connect some passes. But good job defensively. Really interesting next 45 minutes because 2 teams, completely different identities. They need these points.
Shots in the first half, 6-2 in favor of Miami. But again, 3 crossbars keeping this game scoreless. 45 minutes in the books here at FIU Stadium. Miami FC, Hartford Athletic, nothing doing just yet. We'll be back.
Some people think Miami is just flamingos and palm trees.
And hell yes, we have badass sunsets.
But Miami's Little Havana,
Doral,
Little Haiti,
Hialeah,
Wynwood, Coconut Grove,
Kendall,
Calle Ocho,
Sweetwater,
Homestead,
cortaditos y coladas
empanadas y croquetas.
is so much more. This is the 305.
This is who we really are. This is what we are all about.
I am Latino.
I'm a disruptor.
I am LGBTQ.
I am a villain.
I am a mother.
I am Haitian.
I am an athlete.
I am an activist.
I am a king.
I am American dream.
I am the future.
I am.
I am FC.
Scoreless first half of play here at FIU Stadium with Ricky Lopez-Espin. I'm David Gascon. 45 minutes in the books, and Miami FC still looking for 3 points, but need a goal first. Meanwhile, speaking of first, well, got plenty of friends around the organization doing the best that they can, spreading the love amongst the natives here in Miami. Fellas, take it away.
Super Trooper lights are gonna find me, but I won't feel blue like I always do, 'cause somewhere in the crowd there's you.
Oh, what's this? Thank you.
I'm just sick and tired of everything. When I call last night, all I do is eat and sleep and sing, wishing every show was.
A little odd, Ricky. I didn't get a friendship bracelet from you. Is that a hint of how we've been this year or what?
We're family. We're not friends.
That's right. There you go. Touche, touche. All right. So what do we got? We're closing out the regular season at Charleston, at Sacramento. Pretty easy, yes?
Easy? No. Ben Pierman, Charleston Battery, so good at home. Very difficult for Miami FC. And then you're going to Mark Brick and Sacramento Republic, one of the hardest places to play in all of the USL Championship because they are at the top of the Western Conference. So I do think this next 45 for Louis Neal, you need to get goals, you need to get them early, you need to get them often, and this needs to be a 3-point game for Miami FC.
And for Hartford, they'll close out the regular season at home against RGV, at Lou City, and then at home against FC Tulsa. They don't have a lot to play for, contracts, yes, but they could certainly help out Miami with the victory against Tulsa.
So it's interesting because maybe in the next 45 minutes, some of the Miami FC players might be saying, hey, you have Tulsa, help us out a little bit, do a favor, play spoiler. But again, for Hartford Athletic, probably not the season that you would expect it or you wanted, but always an opportunity to showcase yourself and end up on a high note.
So 45 minutes captured here. When we come back, we'll take a look at some stats, some highlights, and then also, more importantly, an out-of-town scoreboard as well. Plenty of action around USL Championship, which is a couple weeks left in the regular season, but all eyes here in South Florida for the time being. Miami and Hartford right now, scoreless at the end of 45.
No one was born a hero. It's an everyday journey. There are no shortcuts, no days off, no perfect scenarios. Things won't always go the way you expect. But overcoming challenges is part of the game too. Your time is now. When passion runs through you, become your own hero.
Comfortable night here in South Florida. Not so comfortable yet for Miami FC. They've hit 3 crossbars, and that's been it. Miami FC and Hartford Athletic, 45 minutes in the books. These teams are scoreless.
We all have goals. But let's be honest, most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
At the break right now here at FIU Stadium, Miami FC, Hartford Athletic in the books, 45 minutes of play. Guys are scoreless right now. The FPL halftime report presented by Macron. Got news and notes throughout the land. Ricky, what do we got?
You see Detroit City fan John Harge as a 2 millionth fan of the 2023 USL Championship. That's insane just to see the growth over the course of USL Championship lifespan. 2 million fans. Hats off to what USL is doing. And the Riverhounds on track to secure the Player Shield for the first time. Bob Lilley, we talked about them at the lead at the moment. They've been so good picking up points on the road, picking up points at home. So big opportunity for Bob Lilley and the Riverhounds. And there's only 14 days, 2 weeks till the regular season is done. And the final will be November 12th on ESPN2. What's going to happen? Who's going to stay in? Who's going to stay out? Wait and see.
Man, I saw Halloween decorations a couple days ago, and then you got Christmas right around the corner. Oh my gosh, we're aging ourselves. Anyways, what's on tap tonight?
Obviously, for this Eastern Conference, you're looking at that Memphis hosting Birmingham Legion. Memphis, they're going to be in the playoffs. Birmingham Legion, a team that's sitting in 7th at the moment. Miami just beat them. El Paso, they host Charleston Battery and Ben Pyramid. New Mexico, Lou City. Really interesting on that Western Conference because Monterey Bay and Oakland Roots, they drew 1-1. And now Monterey Bay is playing against San Diego, who they lost to about a week ago. And Oakland Roots, they're hosting the reigning champions. So late night for USL Championship. Tune into the Western Conference.
Lots and lots of fun in USL Championship. I'm sure she's having a good time right now. Just needs her team to score a goal or two. We'll see if they can do it here on the other side. 45 minutes in the book. So we got some stats and some highlights and a whole lot more right around the corner.
No one was born a hero. It's an everyday journey. There are no shortcuts, no days off, no perfect scenarios. Things won't always go the way you expect. But overcoming challenges is part of the game too. Your time is now. When passion runs through you, become your own hero.
Some people think Miami is just flamingos and palm trees.
And hell yes, we have badass sunsets.
But Miami's Little Havana,
Doral,
Little Haiti,
Hialeah,
Wynwood, Coconut Grove,
Kendall,
Calle Ocho,
Sweetwater,
Homestead,
cortaditos y coladas
empanadas y croquetas.
is so much more. This is the 305.
This is who we really are. This is what we are all about.
I am Latino.
I'm a disruptor.
I am LGBTQ.
I am a villain.
I am a mother.
I am Haitian. I am an athlete.
I am an activist.
I am a king.
I am American Dream.
I am the future.
I am
Miami FC.
This broadcast is brought to you by FPL. Learn how FPL is investing in Florida's future at FPL.com/value. Tata 2 and Macron. Take a look at the first half highlights in this thing. Ricky, 7th minute of action. It was early for Miami, just a little bit unlucky.
You'll start to see a lot of the movement starts from that center location right in front of this back line of Hartford Athletic because there's no one dropping, there's no one stepping. But for Miami FC, how clinical can you be to manage moments, because it's been very sloppy in the back for Hartford Athletic. You get a ball in about 20, 25 yards out. Joaquin Rivas, terrific individual take, denied by the crossbar. And you can get a second bite at the apple. This time it's Christian Stordo. The ball rotates over. Great first touch out of his body. And once again, same result. Dorchen's best friend has been the crossbar this first half.
And 2 crossbars in the matter of seconds for Miami FC. Hartford escapes, and Christian Stordo and the fellas look on. 23rd minute, a whole lot more.
Michael Salazar did just so well. He pops off the goal line, gets away from his individual marker, but you just see the pace and the whip that the ball served in with Gabriel Cabral. Just disbelief. Crossbar, Bo Akinyoti comes back, can't react quick enough to get his body around it. But this was the only threat that Hartford Athletic possessed in that first half, was just playing direct into Edwards, into Pris Sadie. I think McGuire doesn't do as well as you would like, and the initial, but does very well to recover himself and make himself big and deny Kyle Edwards that opening goal.
First half stats brought to you by Takes. The numbers tell you Miami FC has had the advantage. They just don't have a goal to show for it just yet. Possession time, 51% to 49. I think that's a little misleading because it did feel like Miami was playing a lot on their front foot, not so much for Hartford.
And all of Hartford's possession has been in central locations or that back line, just rotating the ball from left to right. Haven't really threatened this back line for Miami FC. You know they're going to play direct, but I do think for Lewis Neal, the message was get this opening goal in the first 10 to 15 minutes, because that's going to make Hartford Athletic step off their line and out of the shell, and then we are going to have opportunities to go on the back end.
We will continue scoreboard watch as well with FC Tulsa and Detroit. We have one change at least for the time being. Andre Lewis has come in for Hartford. At least a single change for the Athletic as this night moves along. Hartford, again, nowhere near playoff contention, but they can really derail the run for Miami with a victory here today. A loss wouldn't bury Miami, but it'll certainly put a dent into what they're hoping would be a great run to close out this regular season. Telfer here. Ooh, Ryan with a bad pass. Danny Barrera bites it. Danny, though, plays it into no man's land, taken away. Velo not looking. So the one change, you see it there, 77 in, 16 out. Lewis for Sheldon.
That's an interesting one. I thought Matt Sheldon was very good. The wide wing back for Omid Namazi. Boy, that likes to get forward, very comfortable from his wing back position, but now you bring in Andre Lewis, and he's just going to give you verticality, he's going to give you pace, and he's going to give you the willingness to be direct, to beat players 1v1. It's not an easy task coming in right after halftime to get up to tempo and up to speed into this match.
Yeah, Lewis this season, a couple goals and 3 helpers. Appearing in his 25th match of the season. He started the majority of them, 19 of the 25. We do believe he'll finish this contest out, logging at least 45 minutes. And Lewis on it. Edwards was the intended recipient. Bolu intercepts. Salazar.
Well, once again, David, you see the exact same setup defensively. Makangila, like for like, with Michael Salazar, like a shadow following him all around the field defensively for Hartford Athletic. So if you're a player underneath, watch out.
Prince Sadie with an extra gear. Prince looking to make a move. That crossover to Edwards, just a little bit too out in front of it for him. Lewis, Danny Barrera. Danny, that shot ricochets out. The rebound attempt. Jake McGuire with 2 hands on the denial. Great stop there for Jake McGuire. First golden opportunity for Hartford here in this contest. Makangila looking for that left-hand corner against McGuire, but Jake reading the ball well off the foot. 49th minute. And already a different approach from Hartford here in the second half. Barrera. Prince Sadie. And this whole thing started with Sadie hitting that extra gear.
Different feel for Hartford Athletic at the moment. On the ball, a lot more than we saw in the first half. Connecting passes, getting in the rhythm, getting confident. Whatever Omi Namazi said in the locker room has really came out and executed on the field now.
Let's go and look at that sequence again, Ricky.
Just see the ability just to play direct, and as this ball rotates over, it's Makangila, who I've been talking about defensively, hits it extremely clean. The technique on the 100, even better save from Jake McGuire to parry it away and not into a trafficked area to allow a rebound to happen. And how good has he been since he's got that opportunity to play between the sticks for Miami FC? Grab that opportunity with both hands and has not looked back.
52nd minute, Indy 11 leads Detroit 1-0. Pittsburgh 2-1 over FC Tulsa. It was 2-0 Pittsburgh before Tulsa got one back. Nice chip looking for Stanley. Sordo just rolls over that ball. Christian fortunate enough not to roll the ankle. Stanley. And he was inclined to take more of an advanced approach on that. Decided to give it over to Christian Sordo.
Go to the ball. He's got your back.
Namazi there. Bolu trying to work the long way. Florian below. Stanley, nice delivery. Christian Sordo at the last minute had that opportunity, blocked in front. Mendez was the one that got to it in time, but Christian Sordo, good threat at the top of the box. This portion of the broadcast sponsored by Good Greek Moving and Storage, your superhero movers. Home finale for Miami FC tonight. Began the year with a draw against FC Tulsa. How do they fare here tonight? Be curious to see if and when Claudio Repetto and Kyle Murphy take the stage for Louis Neal. Got to imagine both guys chomping at the bit. Rivas with some real estate tries to bend this one in and never had a chance.
Not happy at all. Slow in rotation from this Hartford back line just to recognize the space and who's going to step up and close Joaquin Rivas. You can't give a player that quality that much time and space about 20 yards out. Yes, it's his least preferred right foot. That's exactly why Omi Namazi is frustrated. The other side of it, if you're Louis Neal, you're asking Joaquin Rivas just to play closer in those half pockets. I keep talking about, but I do think it's going to be an X factor for Miami FC. You can bring out Makangila with Michael Salazar being selfless in his positioning. You open up, pulls on into the interior, and just like this once again.
Sordo maybe thought about something else instead of pulling the shot from well outside.
So when you're a center midfielder, single pivot, you're asked to do a lot of the dirty side of the ball defensively. Stay at home, clog passing lanes, frustrate opposition. Whether or not it's by design, Makangila staying exactly next to Michael Salazar when Miami FC is in possession. So now there's no body centrally. You have space to operate in, so how do you exploit That's going to be the question to be answered for Louis Neal and this Miami FC side, because they've had glimpses of it, but hasn't done it as much as you would like.
Hartford Athletic, losers of 8 straight. The last time they won a match, you have to go all the way back to August the 5th against New Mexico. I mean, it feels like forever and a day. But regardless of their short success, they're giving Miami FC a handful tonight. At the very least, the match is scoreless. But the question is, does it stay that way? Paco looking for Velo. Florian, sweet move, can't settle it down. Lappert, a fine job on the retreat. Again, more of a delivery, a little bit too hard to handle in that pass from Aiden Stanley. Bolo able to interrupt. First substitution for Miami FC tonight as Kyle Murphy comes in for Michael Salazar. Substitution brought to you by your superhero movers at Good Greek Moving and Storage. Murphy in, Salazar out. Kyle this season, 6 goals in the campaign, a couple helpers. '56th minute. I'll be very curious to see what happens now with Murphy coming into this contest. How often he can get some touches, and more importantly, Miami FC can create any kind of free kicks in the attacking third that would provide him an opportunity to score. Now watch out here on a run for Edwards. Edwards off balance.
I mentioned it in the first half. I do think for Miami FC, the challenge is going to be not to get complacent and overcommit. Because if you leave yourself vulnerable going back the other way with Edwards, Prince Sadie, now Andre Lewis, they always have that threat to play in behind Benno Fiamu and Paco Craig. So the big challenge to stay tuned in for the 2 center backs and be proactive in their defending. Going back to that sub made by Louis Neal, you bring in Kyle Murphy. You want him to make runs exactly like that, to pull out Makangila to open up center locations, but also it's going to be a challenge for Kyle Murphy, because as Hartford Athletic is sitting into a mid to low block, you're asking him to do a lot of that hold-up play. And Louis Neal talks about him needs to be better in that instance of his game. Bring players in, stay high, occupy the center backs in Makangila, and then you can play in Christian Sordo and Joaquin Rivas underneath Kyle Murphy.
Lewis, though, on the approach. Prince Sadie, Edwards to his left. Prince walking a fine line against Aiden Stanley, left foot into a triangle of Miami FC players. Ooh, heads collide there. Revert back to this in a moment, but Kyle Murphy and Makangila locking up.
Just comes to the backside, Kyle Murphy. See Makangila's head snap back. The way that the first half was whistled, surprised that that was not called for a foul.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Felt like everything was in the first half.
Very tight whistle from Joe Surrigan in that first 45.
Miami's next match, October the 7th against Charleston on the road. And they close out a week later in Sacramento. For Hartford, on deck on October the 4th, they have RGV. Then they get Lou City and FC Tulsa. So they have 3 games remaining to the 2 of Miami. Wakangila still down on the deck. Looks like he is taking as much time as humanly possible. While we have a moment, gotta say a big thanks to the entire organization of Miami FC. They've treated us well throughout the entire year. The homestands have been great, and obviously the entire sports information department with Miami FC. Of course, Lauren Markwith working with us the opening of the year, doing all of our sideline reporting and some of the good stuff on Instagram and Twitter, providing us with ad-time reports and some interviews with players like Florian Velo and Joaquin Ribas. Guys providing us with good information throughout the year. Can't thank you enough. But after tonight, we'll close the door at home and pack the bags and be on the road for a couple. And then maybe, just maybe, a playoff game or 2. You never know. Barrera not strong enough and then retaliates because of that misfortune on his own doing. Each team has made 1 change so far. Expect a few more. Prince Sadie has Edwards. Oh, great play there by Paco Craig. Paco Craig stopped a for sure goal there. Paco closing the distance, and Prince Sadie had nowhere else to roam with that ball. Elvis Amo coming in, replacing Edwards. Edwards is staring at the first marker of the night. Tristan Hodge coming in. It's only the 3rd time this season that Hodge has come off the bench for Hartford Athletic. 24th appearance now of the season. Man from Trinidad and Tobago.
It's going to be a different look for Hartford Athletic on the attacking phase of the game because Elvis Amo, he's a player that likes to stay high. He is a player that likes to invite contact as a target man. So now it's going to free the real estate either underneath them or by side of him for Andre Lewis and Prince Sadie. Ben Ofiemu, Paco Craig had to be very good in terms of their communication and covering for one another.
Merrill. Connor McGlynn. Connor on the approach. Danny Marrera try to give it back to him. Just 2 out in front. We've seen a lot more action here in the second half from Hartford than we did all the first 45. Do you think that has anything to do with the fact that they played on Wednesday?
I don't think so.
No?
I just think, you're talking about Hartford?
Yeah.
Mazzi probably just got into them at halftime saying, we need to get on the ball just a tiny bit more.
Yeah.
Just getting a reaction out of his boys, and I do think they've done a lot better. More sound defensively on the attacking phase. A bit more confident stringing passes together. Danny Barrera getting more involved. He dipped into his bench. Let's say, 64 minutes in, he's been yelling at the top of his lungs, coaching, passionate right there. Exactly what you would want from a coach, willing his boys just to find that little bit of motivation to get over the end line.
Ofiemu jumping up in the play. drew a foul. Pittsburgh just regained a 2-goal advantage. They lead FC Tulsa now 3-1. Indy still leading Detroit 1-0. Those are the 2 matches that we are looking at right now. Birmingham and Memphis are scoreless. Birmingham's the other team with 41 points in the Eastern Conference. Sordo giving chase. Christian trying to press. Nice play. Paco stepping up. Stanley looking at 3 players on the right-hand side. Picture perfect. It's 1-0 thanks to Florian Velo. Boot to boot. Stanley to Velo in the 65th minute. Miami FC 1, Hartford 0.
It starts with Paco Craig. As a center back, you stay tuned in. You play the first pass forward, and Aiden Stanley, we've seen it throughout his whole season. The ability to pick out a pass, especially from a deep lying position, but you have to give credit to Florian Velo. Kyle Murphy makes that near post run. He pulls out McGlynn, so it's all about Florian Velo getting across his individual marker to that back post, and what a classy little finish. You don't need to hit it too hard. Just let it hit your foot, redirect it into that far post. There's no chance for Dorchin, and what a massive goal this is for Miami FC. At home, 1-0 up.
And he's not the sexiest players when you look at his stat line, but Aiden Stanley has done so many little things that mount up to bigger achievements for Miami FC over the course of the season. And that assist, you give the hockey assist to Paco Craig, but oddly enough, you have to go all the way back to March 11th, the last time that Florian Velo scored a goal. But massive right now, 1-0 Miami.
It just starts from back to front. It's just fantastic because we talked about the subs that Hartford has brought in, Elvis and Mo. So they want to play direct into him. Paco Craig stays on the ball side, stays on the right side, of his individual marker. Because so many times when you get a center back, they try to collect that ball, try to be a bit fancy with it. He says there's a player higher up the field. Let me just punch it into Aiden Stanley. And that gives him the time and space to pick up his head, let the play develop in front of him. The movement from Joaquin Rivas, from Kyle Murphy, pulling out 2 center backs, opens up a trailing run for Florian Velo. Back to front, fantastic team goal for Miami FC.
So Stanley with the assist, his 3rd of the year. For Velo, his 2nd goal of the year. Again, the last time he scored was March the 11th. That was game number 1 of this regular season. Sometimes it's not how many you score, it's just when you score them. But a massive goal. And as you mentioned, Ricky, just excellent creativity there. And the setup was exquisite. So there's your payoff. And now, if you're Miami FC, you'd love to get an insurance marker, and you can't be content with a 1-0 advantage. Hartford's made 3 changes so far in the second half. Only 1 for Miami. That was Kyle Murphy coming in for Michael Salazar. Hartford, losers of 8 straight. Oddly enough, too, I mean, when it's gone bad for Hartford, it's gone bottom of the basement bad. They've been outscored during their 8-game losing streak, 22-6. It's not like they have been in every single match. Below, Bolu trying to chase. Oh, he got taken out. Let's see if Barrera gets a yellow card here. He was a little hot, and he got one. 69th minute. Bolo's usually on the giving end of these situations, but Ricky, about here.
I'll tell you what, look at Danny Barrera's left leg, the way that he exposed his studs over the top of Bolakinyoti. I'd argue that could easily be a different color there.
Wow. That's a good eye by you. Rather dirty, top of the ankle. You have to give the thought now that Bolu's probably thinking, who got me here?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Look at the left leg from Danny Barrera, the way that he shows his studs on the back end of this and comes over the top of Bolakinyoti.
Oh, yeah.
Very dangerous. Studs are exposed. It's extremely late. I think he's a very lucky man to stay on this field, Danny Barrera.
Now we'll be curious to see what kind of retribution comes to Danny Barrera, if any, but I would earmark that situation.
I mentioned it when Bolo picked up his yellow card. It's a matter of his discipline. Now, yes, you want to get the retaliation. Yes, you probably feel hard done by, but you have to manage moments, especially with how important the 2 remaining games are now. Lead here, stay on the field. I would not be surprised. I don't see it happening, but Lewis Neal.
McGlynn from well outside. Cabral got in front of it. Pinballed around. Ooh, again, McGlynn trying to get to that ball first, and now we got back-to-back yellow cards. First one on Barrera, this one on Connor in the 71st minute.
Pathfinder's only $199 a month during Weston Nissan's Drive for Less sales event. Drive the Pathfinder, only $199 a month, 33 in stock. Shop WestonNissan.com. Drive for less at Weston Nissan.
Back here at FIU Stadium with Ricky Lopez-Espin. I'm David Gascon. 1 goal scored. It was here in the second half by Florian Velo. Aiden Stanley with the assist, breaking the scoreless deadlock in the 65th minute. Velo, his 2nd goal of the year, Stanley's 3rd assist of the campaign. Sadie trying to get around Paco Craig. Jake McGuire alertly, though, comes off his line. Hartford losing Tampa middle of the week 2-0. Both goals, own goals. And one marker was taken off the board. Prince Sadie was ruled offside on a goal that many of people inside the Hartford locker room thought it was a goal. Christian sort of looking for one of his own. Christian. Third minute as we scoreboard watch. Pittsburgh 3-1 over FC Tulsa. 74th minute. Indy now has struck rich for another goal. 2-0. Again, those are the 2 clubs in front of Miami. If those scores stay as is, or at least the leaders win, and this one stays the same, Miami FC would leapfrog both of them and find themselves into a playoff spot. Top 8 teams from each conference go to the postseason. Birmingham Legion also plays tonight. Birmingham will take on Memphis. In fact, that match is also underway. It's scoreless right now, but I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but for the sake of talking for a couple hours, Ricky, Miami FC could possibly run the table to close out the year and could conceivably leapfrog 3 teams. Tulsa, Detroit, and Birmingham.
What a sight that would be. That's like what's one thing talking about it, the other thing going out
Yeah, right.
and executing in those two hostile environments that Miami FC has coming up.
Yeah.
You mentioned at halftime at Charleston, how good have they been with under Ben Pierman in year one, and at Mark Briggs in Sacramento Republic, who are fighting at the top of that Western Conference. Job not done here though for Miami FC. 17 plus remaining. You can get that second goal. That's going to give you a little bit of cushion.
Miami with 8 draws this year. They have had some moments where matches they had led for comfortable margins until the closing stages of the contest. Prince Sadie shoved right off of that by Paco Craig. And now we're gonna have a dangerous moment here for Hartford. Free kick just outside the 18.
That's a silly foul from Paco here. Number one, you're late to step off with Prince Sadie. Secondary, you just get caught flat-footed. Your hips are caught square so the attacking player can go to either side of you, and then you have to have emergency defending. You lunge in. Any clever attacker will always going to go down with any sort of contact. Very comfortable distance for Prince Sadie to go up and over the wall and bend it away from Jake McGuire to that near post.
Sadie looking to do some damage. Prince on the delivery. That one glances off the crossbar. Maybe a little bit of karma. But Prince Sadie
tries to catch Jake McGuire cheating. Hits it so pure. A lot of whip. He hasn't beat, to be fair. That's 2 yards lower. Excuse me, even a yard lower. It's in the back of the net. You see how important every decision is on the back end for Miami FC and how dangerous with the quality that Hartford Athletic has in the front line, especially Prince Sadie, from any sort of dead ball situation.
You know, players wear heart monitors on themselves, Ricky. I would be rather curious if we could put a little spot or mark the crossbar tonight, because I could swear to you that the 4 shots that have gone off that same crossbar, probably not too far apart from each other, right?
I mean, you're looking at the goal regulation size as well.
Yeah.
You have to.
It's unbelievable. Merrill, chip, Telfer, patiently, Cabral comfortably. '77th minute. Make sure you stay with us at the end of this contest. Ricky will have our Tata 2 man of the match. Last one of the season. Prince Sadie looking for some late game heroics right into McGuire. Miami FC, they've recorded 7 clean sheets on the year, working for number 8. A lot of work to go, though. Pittsburgh again 3-1 over FC Tulsa. Indy 11 2-0 over Detroit. Those matches are now in the 80th minute. Memphis and Birmingham, no score. Murphy wanted it. Dude did not get it. A little hot about that. From well outside, that one finds the back of the net. Joaquin Rivas pulled the trigger and made no mistake about it in the 78th minute. And why not take a bow, Joaquin? Miami up 2-0.
Talked about all about the space. Look at the space between the lines. And look at Makangila stay like for like with Kyle Murphy. And as he makes that run, he pulls out Makangila. And it's just a domino effect. Christian Sordo makes that advanced run. Joaquin Rivas says, I see you, I don't need you. Especially with that left foot. 3 goals away at Hartford, 1 goal here at home. 4 goals on the trot against his Hartford Athletic side. Joaquin Rivas all smiles. Fantastic strike from distance. To be expected from a player with that quality, low and hard. Out of the reach of Dortchen. Miami FC 2-0 up at home.
Massive goal, the insurance marker here. And for Joaquin Rivas, his 9th goal of the season. And now Miami FC is feeling it. The reward's finally coming here in the second half. When you could also think, Ricky, maybe a bit of frustration building up after that first half when you have 3 shots go off the crossbar, but here in half number 2, they have not been denied. A couple of changes. Juan Pablo Torres in for Hartford Athletic. Merrill comes out. Had to happen. So Bruin is also in. So 5 changes now in this half for Hartford.
I mentioned it in the first half. If you can unbalance centrally this Hartford Athletic side, there is going to be a lot of space to operate in. Simple ball from Bolak and Yodi into Florian Velo. There's about 20 yards for him just to keep on running. But that goal does not happen without the off-the-ball running from Kyle Murphy and Christian Sordo. You talk about being selfless, especially when you're playing against a man who's individually just marking you in Makangila.
Played through nicely, done Ofiemu.
And then it's good recognition on the back end from Joaquin Rivas. And the courageousness just to pull the trigger.
Ooh, Rivas got taken out there. Makangila got him. So this kind of goes back to when people always inquire and they watch these games and they think about what the significance is of having a former player on these calls. You're an All-American in college, you were a professional, you were drafted in the MLS, and you were able to identify this before the match even begun. And you talked about players getting pulled in and pulled away, and exactly like that. I mean, it was tailor-made for you, and they identified it, and now it happens here in the second half.
Making me blush, man.
I'm sorry, but it goes back to your point about the need to execute these things, and there was pockets in the first half, and Miami FC didn't give up on the action. Stanley here. Stanley, ooh, played it through nicely. Cabral is there. Open lane, that shot is airmailed. That would have certainly sealed the deal, and Ryan Telfer would love to have that one back.
Great little pick out here from Aiden Stanley because the back line from Hartford Athletic, they're all retreating towards the goal line. So where's the real estate? It's a cutback ball. Ryan Telfer is going to want this one back. Has so much time to pick out a spot. His head just rises it over the crossbar.
So Bruna played this one through. Couldn't get it, Bolu. See the scores on the top right. Those teams that are in play right now are in positions just in front of Miami FC. Memphis, big lead over Birmingham right now. Not much of a separation from Lewis. That one goes sailing over the crossbar.
It's been a rough season on the attacking phase for this Hartford Athletic side. Only 35 goals for through 30 games played at this point in time. But they have talent. They have the ability just to create on something. And I love this substitution from Lewis Neal. Has Bolo Akinyoti on a yellow card. 84th minute in. Eyes on Charleston Battery. You want to keep him on the field and available for next time out, because he is such a massive part of what they do on both sides of the ball. Now Dennis DeWuna stays right next to Gabriel Cabral. Hasn't seen much of the playing time since Lewis Neal has taken over, so big opportunity for Duuna and Claudio Repetto. Next to Christian Sordo, takes him off. Now we see Kyle Murphy and Repetto to see this game out.
Yeah, and more to your point with Bolu, he has 2 red cards this season.
Yep.
So to say his engine runs hot at times is probably putting it mildly. So this might be an instance where Lewis Neal is erring on the side of caution for his player. And Duuna is only making his 17th appearance of the season. Hartford trying to stake one back. De Bruyne. Lewis. And Stanley will just let this thing trot away and result in a goal kick. 85th minute. If everything in the balance right now stays as is, Miami FC would be 8th in the Eastern Conference. Only 2 points back, though, of 7th seed Birmingham. And they'd be a point in front of Detroit and 2 in front of FC Tulsa.
This shows you how tight this playoff race is on both conferences, Western Conference and Eastern Conference. You can string in a couple good results on the back end of it. You can make a late surge up the table.
You know, for all intents and purposes, Miami FC's been in playoff mode for quite a while, too.
He's been so good tonight, Aiden Stanley.
Yeah.
Especially in the second half. Works extremely hard on both sides of the ball. Very good 1v1 defender. 3 assists on the season after that one from Florian Velo.
I don't know if there's more of an unsung player on that team. A lot of guys will get good praise, but Aiden has been, I don't know, that dude's been a rock. I mean,
it's just so consistent. You know exactly what you're going to get week in and week out. Doesn't try to overcomplicate things, does the simple things very well at a very high level. And has that little bit of an X factor, the competitiveness to go on the back end of it.
And he's only 23.
Remember when Anthony Peels was at the helm, we had the ability to talk with him week in and week out. Just rave about just the professionalism of Aiden Stanley.
'87th minute. Again, we'll have our Tatatu man of the match at the conclusion of this. Aiden Stanley with the intercept and now on the attack. Aiden's got numbers. Repetto.
I guess they're trying to see this game out in the 88th minute. Bad giveaway.
Lewis trying to split 2 defenders, maybe some hero ball to no avail. Back to what you were saying?
Last instance, Aiden Stanley, it's just a wrong run from Kyle Murphy. Yes, you want to play on the weak side, but you always want to get towards the goal. Pulls out towards the corner flag on a transition moment.
Ooh, Repetto nearly went off on a break. Rivas, they play on. Nice touch, Repetto. Duuna here. Get some exposure, Cabral. Telfer had a moment, sitting a little high and wide. In case you're curious, FC Tulsa has 2 games remaining on the regular season. One against Indy 11 and the other against Hartford Athletic. For Detroit, they get Loudoun United next, and then they have a date with Pittsburgh. Loudoun has nothing to play for, Pittsburgh does. They have Loudoun and Tampa Bay kind of going side by side in the Eastern Conference. We're going to guess 3 minutes of stoppage time. We'll make an educated guess and see if we're rewarded. Prince Sadie softly played through and around Dewuna there in the breakup. Great play by Dennis. Torres was knocking on the doorstep.
I think he needs to shoot this. Great little interchange between him and Prince Sadie.
Sadie here. Prince pulls the trigger. Ooh, he was labeling that top left-hand corner. It did not miss by much.
And he's been very good for Hartford Athletic. Probably the only player on the field that has the willingness just to up the tempo and create something out of nothing. Just so dangerous on that left foot to create his own space. Just doesn't get his hips around it as much as he would like. Going back to Miami FC. Yes, they seem a bit more confident in the attacking phase, but defensively, really buckled down after that Lou City game. You can see 3 goals at home, not good enough in terms of Lewis Neal, your defensive structure and the way that you concede those goals. But since then, you go to Birmingham, you get a clean sheet. And with 3 minutes remaining in extra time here, have eyes for a clean sheet once again. And yes, it's cliche. Yes, we all hear it, but defense wins championships. Defense gets you into the playoff, because if you get a clean sheet, you guaranteed at least 1 point for your side. On the back end of things, yes, you want 3 points, but 1 point make that massive difference on the as playoffs are right around the corner.
Miami FC looking for a 3-game winning streak. They would pick the perfect time to get hot. Florian Velo with the first goal of this contest in the 65th minute. Joaquin Rivas scoring his 9th goal this season, the insurance marker. And Miami FC, and they've deserved this contest. Out shooting Hartford 12-8, 4 shots on goal to 3. Miami has also hit 3 crossbars. Hartford, yes, has hit 1. Rivas scoring his goal in the 78th minute. So it would be a nice way to end the regular season here at FIU Stadium for Miami FC. Going out on a winner's note. And it's a playoff game in the cards. We'll find out in 2 weeks. It's been fun, partner. I've enjoyed the run with you.
Hopefully we get a home playoff game.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Keep the band together.
Could do that. Does that mean you'll be coming into the press box with a suit, 3-piece suit? Pocket square and all?
I do what you do.
Oh, man. Please do not do that. Our parents will both be ashamed. Jake McGuire staring down the barrel of another clean sheet. He had one on Sunday against Birmingham. And this thing is now a wrap. So Miami FC, they do exactly what they do here tonight by taking care of business and beating the team that they needed to beat. They have won 3 straight. They've captured 9 straight points. And now, more importantly, in real time, they're in a playoff spot. And who would have thought in the middle of June or July they'd be anywhere near this moment? But look at here, they close at September, riding high, and a clean sheet as well, 2-0 over Hartford.
And the words of Lewis Neal, must win, right? Who's going to stand up? Who's going to rise above the pressure? And I do think it starts defensively. So good from Ben Ofiamu, Paco Craig, Ryan Telford, Aiden Stanley, and throw in Jake McGuire. 2 clean sheets back-to-back. And then you let your special players higher up the field do what they do. Joaquin Rivas gets another goal against Hartford Athletic. Florian Velo, just a constant player in the lineup, gets a well-deserved goal. But just talk about managing moments for this Miami FC side. 3 wins on the bounce, 3-game week. Lewis Neal needs to be very happy with his young men.
Well, it gives us sway to our Tata-2 man of the match in this contest. And Ricky, who do you got?
I think it has to be Florian Velo. He gets the deadlock break open because we talked about the first half, the inability to be clinical. He starts on that weak side from a deep lying position, just wanted just a tiny bit more. About a 30-yard run, but take nothing away from the ball from Aiden Stanley. Technical ability on 100 from Florian Velo off to the corner. That's a massive goal for Miami FC and well-deserved Tata-2 man of the match.
Oh, the goal was good. The pass was fantastic. Paco Craig with the intercept started that from nearly midfield. All in all, turnover led to a goal. It was the game-winning goal as Miami FC wins it by a final score of 2-0. We'll have some final thoughts, some full-time stats, and some highlights all around the corner. Miami FC closed at the homestand, though, with a 2-0 victory over Hartford.
No one was born a hero. It's an everyday journey. There are no shortcuts, no days off, no perfect scenarios. Things won't always go the way you expect. But overcoming challenges is part of the game too. Your time is now. When passion runs through you, become your own hero.
Some people think Miami is just flamingos and palm trees.
And hell yes, we have badass sunsets.
But Miami's Little Havana,
Doral,
Little Haiti,
Hialeah,
Wynwood, Coconut Grove,
Kendall,
Calle Ocho,
Sweetwater,
Homestead,
cortaditos y coladas
empanadas y croquetas.
is so much more. This is the 305.
This is who we really are. This is what we are all about.
I am Latino.
I'm a disruptor.
I am LGBTQ.
I am a villain.
I am a mother.
I am Haitian. I am an athlete.
I am an activist.
I am a king.
I am American Dream.
I am the future.
I am.
I am Miami FC.
Put a bow on this thing from FIU Stadium in South Florida. Miami FC victorious in their final home game of the regular season. Florian Velo, the game-winning goal in this contest. 2-0 is the final tally with Ricky Lopez-Espin. I am David Gascon. Ricky, we look at full-time highlights on this thing. It was busy throughout.
When you thought the way that this game started in the first half that Miami FC was going to have a very difficult day because the crossbar was their worst enemy. First, Joaquin Rivas, then Christian Sordo gets on the end of it. Now it's Michael Salazar's turn to get on the fawn. The crossbar says, no, 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 not so quick. There's Dorchin his beat as the ball rotates over. Bolak not having the ability just to get his body closed. And you're always scared that in transition moments, Hartford Athletic was going to find that opener. Aiden Stanley starts with Paco Craig. The first ball to break that line into the path of Aiden Stanley. Just look at the time that he has to let this play develop. The run from Kyle Murphy, he pulls out Connor McGlenn, and then it's the willingness from Florian Velo just to get the wrong side of his individual mark. Fantastic ball, even better finish. Opened the deadlock here for Miami FC.
Just his second goal of the season and his first since March the 11th, and then more.
Talk about the off-the-ball movement. First, it's Kyle Murphy. He pulls out Makangila. That opens up the hole. And then Christian Sordo. Because if you are Lappert, you can't step off because you have to run on your back shoulder. So you have to let the play in front of you. Joaquin Rivas says thank you very much. Low and hard. Hits it extremely pure. Extremely clean. I mean, that likes to have a lot of fun against Hartford Athletic. 2 goals. That's 3 points for Miami FC. And they end in the playoffs, David.
Unbelievable way that they have come down the stretch here in the regular season. So real-time standings right now, again, Detroit and FC Tulsa are both still playing right now. Birmingham got underway a little bit later against Memphis. They also are behind as well. So everything is neck and neck. I got to imagine if you're a schedule maker, you're happy with this outcome right now.
100%. These are the games that you want to play on the back end as a player, coaching as the coach. But now for Miami FC, you look at that number 3 at Charleston Battery on October 4th, and then you turn around to end the season in Sacramento. So can you get it done on the road? That's going to be the question for Louis Neal, but you can think about that tomorrow. Now the game is done and dusted. Big 3 points in your pocket. You stick up those legs in recovery, and you go back at it on Monday morning.
Yeah, Indy's leading Detroit 3-0, and they're in stoppage time. Pittsburgh 3-1 over Tulsa. At the break, Memphis 1-0 over Birmingham. So that closes out the homestand here in 2023. The young, the old, and everywhere in between. Miami FC goes out on a high note here tonight, and their playoff hopes still alive. 2 more games in the regular season. We'll be back with you next week on October the 7th at Charleston. But so long here from Miami FC as they win it 2-0 over Hartford. Good night, everyone.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.